the costumes. It's all so
All right, we'll now open the meeting for August 6th of the Hudson Industrial Development
one of the
Agency.
many
First
appointments
line of
you have
business is
to
approving the minutes from July 2nd, 2025.
No, it's just
Are
like
no
Mr. Mayor?
changes. I get a motion and a second to approve.
I have a correction, actually.
Mr. Mayor?
In the investment section.
Excuse me? Mr. Mayor?
Can't.
Everyone, will
We're
you
get-
please?
We're getting a lot of garbled interference from somebody's audio.
We're trying to figure it out.
I think it went away. Thank you.
Ready? Okay,
Ready.
just a minor correction in the investment section on page 1 of the minutes, third line down. It should be 3.85, 3.9, and 3.9%, not 3.98%. So if we could just make that correction. Thanks, Heather.
All right. With those changes, can I get motion and a second to approve?
Sorry.
All right, all in favor?
Alright.
I skipped the roll call vote. I mean, the attendance.
We can do that
Go
now.
back.
Okay, Heather Campbell,
Here,
Jamal Johnson,
Present.
Randall Martin, absent. Cheryl Pazaluga, absent. Margaret Morris.
here,
Dominic Moranti.
Here.
Charles Millar,
Here.
have a quorum.
And Randall Martin says he's 2 minutes away, but so you'll have.
All right, now we'll pass it over for the administrative director's report.
Good morning. This morning we have a number of items on our agenda. We have received an application which was in your packet late last week from Penrose in connection with the J.L. Edwards School Adaptive Reuse Project. Chris Shell, our council, has an update on where we are with both K&R, which closed. Also, the Pocketbook Factory had an additional financing that was closed on. We have an update on engagement between Chris and council for the top of Warren Street property, which is the legal name of what we've been calling the Crescent Project. And then we have discussion regarding the Depot District project. First up, I'd like to introduce Jonah Riccanati, and with Penrose. And we've been working with Jonah and his team remotely, but it's nice to meet you in person. And we have your PowerPoint in front of us, and we're going to bring it up online for those who are listening remotely.
Great.
Well,
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good to be here. Good to see some familiar faces and some new ones as well. I'm pleased to provide an overview of the JLE School Apartments project located here in Hudson. I'm a developer with Penrose leading this project, and I'm really excited to tell you more about it. Next. A bit about us as a company. We're a 50-plus-year-old privately held company. We're a full-service real estate platform doing property management, development, acquisitions and preservation, and asset management. Next. And we do a lot of housing work nationally. As a company, we've developed 27,000 plus units, over 350 plus developments. We've won countless awards for these projects for being, one of on the forefront of affordable housing production and multifamily housing production across the country. And, we have over 100 plus partners. So we do everything with partnership. We find that this is the way that we can serve the localities we work in best. Penrose, New York. So we're a Brooklyn-based cross-disciplinary team comprised of development, asset management, and acquisition staff. We are a leading HCR housing production partner and have partnered with the state to produce over 1,700 units of affordable housing, and we have over 2,000 units in our pipeline currently spanning from Brooklyn to Buffalo. We're experienced with the financing tools included in the project, including the 9% LIHTC, state and federal, historic tax credits and subsidies from HCR. And we really want to be in Hudson. We've looked selectively at opportunities here over the past 5 years and, feel really strongly that this would be a great place for us to grow and develop as a company. And there are strong unmet housing needs as well. So we think this is a great place for us to be doing work. Specifically relevant to this project is our experience in adaptive reuse. We've done a lot of work repositioning historic buildings and preserving them for community benefit. We've completed over 47 historic rehabilitation projects totaling 2,300 residential units and over 500 million in total development cost.
I gotta say, 3 or 4 of those look like, Rojan School. Put that on your list for the next.
Look to that one also. So this JLE School Parking Project really builds on a body of work that we've gotten really good at, is adaptively reusing schools as housing. This is a case study of the Pride, which we completed in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. It was adaptive reuse of the historic William Barton Rogers Middle School. We created 74 units of affordable housing for seniors and community spaces for local nonprofits, including LGBTQ plus housing and a local veterans organization. The property is up and running, fully leased, and it's won several awards. This is a bit about the before and after, and we'd be taking a similar approach here for JLE School. Mid-century modern building, a lot of underutilized spaces. We'd look to transform those to best serve the residential population that will call this building home, as well as redoing open landscape spaces to serve the needs of the tenants and local community, as we did here for this Pride. This is another example of this body of work, Mary Stone Apartments. We repurposed a historic elementary school, significant local partnerships. We had both historic and new construction here. At JLE, we're only going to have historic preservation. And this has won numerous prestigious industry awards for this project.
Jordan, did you say for JLE, you're gonna have historic preservation?
Yes.
Do you know if you have to go before historic preservation?
We haven't gotten feedback from SHPO and National Park Service yet, and we have not been asked to do that at this time. But we'd be open to speaking to them about the project down the line.
Well, the zoning has to change first.
That's right.
Correct.
Are there tax credits associated with it?
Yeah, there are federal and state LIHTC tax credits as well as historic tax credits. So we've started the process with SHPO and National Park Service. The building is currently listed as eligible. We need to get it listed in the historic registry. That process has started. And then they also need to do a comprehensive review of our plans because the historic guidelines are very specific about how we can reuse this building. We have to preserve certain features that are historic to the building, which I'll talk about a little more. But we have to have a very sensitive approach in the way that we're rehabilitating this building because of that funding source. So our development concept here is a rehabilitation and adaptive reuse of the JLE Elementary School. It's 65 units of senior affordable housing, including studio and 1-bedroom units. 20 units would have supportive services for seniors with services on-site provided by Gateway Hudson Valley. And we have affordability at various income bands up to 60% of AMI, which at the 60% AMI level for a 1-bedroom, that's a rent of about $1,132 gross rents. And amenities including a fitness center. There's a cafetorium that we convert into a light-filled resident commons, a community garden, a stroll path, and a patio. Site plan, you can just see here some of those site elements, repurposing the playground area at the frontage of the building to be a stroll path and community garden for residents. And then there's not much usable land in the back because of the topography, but we look to do a patio back there for resident access and preserve the parking that's on site. building conversion design, as I mentioned, because we have historic tax credit funding contemplated for this project, we need to have a sensitive approach to how we're reusing the building. And, you know, we have to convert the classrooms to apartments. We'd use the gymnasium to create 8 new units. We would upgrade the exteriors and include energy efficient windows and doors. Add 2 new elevators to the building. We have fully accessible in-unit washer and dryers for seniors. Preserve the 66 parking spaces that are there and are adequate for the development, and create residential amenities for the building. Property entitlements, so, you know, these are some of the entitlements that we're currently working through with the city. We need to expand the R4 zoning district to the project site, in order for this multifamily development to comply with the zoning code. Zoning variances, we're likely gonna have to go in front of the zoning board for variances for the length and the height of the building. Site plan approval, we had a preliminary presentation to the planning board. And we're advised that we should go back in front of the planning board for site plan approval once we get our secret determination. We've been working with the City of Hudson Common Council on the secret process. They passed a resolution declaring intent to be lead agency for the super review. You know, would expect that review to continue and a determination to be issued shortly. Community benefit, so a number of economic benefits this project will create. Construction jobs during the construction phase, we estimate around 100 jobs will be created during that phase of the project. Permanent jobs, an estimated 5 permanent jobs between property management jobs from Penrose Management Company and supportive services jobs created by Gateway Hudson Valley. Inclusive economic participation, as an ACR finance project, we're gonna have to comply with contracting goals for minority businesses, women-owned businesses, and service disabled veteran-owned businesses. Support for local businesses, increase residential density near the Warren Street commercial corridor, which would benefit local businesses. And property taxes, it's taking a previously underutilized taxes on property and creating a regular stream of revenue for the city through enacting a new pilot agreement. So, you know, we proposed a pilot schedule in our pilot application, which shows a full exemption up until completion of the construction project, and then a $300 per unit per year pilot schedule done from there. You know, we understand that the IDA will have to commission economic analysis report to further assess this pilot, but this is where we started from our preliminary underwriting and what we think our budget can support.
I think it's important also, Jonah, to point out that you have not asked for a mortgage recording tax exemption or a sales tax exemption. And based on the the size of your project, the mortgage tax exemption would be $162,000, and the sales tax exemption would be over $2 million. So you're only asking for a pilot, but the pilot is fairly aggressive. So when we have the economic analysis done, you know, we will do it on that basis of your application. And as you know, to the extent that the application is approved without those exemptions, it's not possible for us to give them after the fact because of the way the IDA would have to go back and do another analysis with additional public hearings, and you'd have to show but for the additional benefits, the project would go forward. So, but just so that the members of the IDA and the public understand that this is unique in the sense that they have not requested the benefits for sales tax or mortgage recording.
Thanks for clarifying that. So, you know, immediate asks of the IDA today, we'd like to advance this process of the pilot, including any economic studies that are needed to progress this process. And then additionally, we're actively working towards a 9% tax credit submission with HCR, which is due next month, September 11th. And, you know, we understand this is a process, and, you know, we may not have a completed pilot agreement by then, but, you know, we would at least, you know, request some sort of letter of support from the IDA for our application, so we can show readiness and progress to HCR that we've, you know, been working through a pilot with the city and some of the other entitlements, and that we can show readiness and for a competitive application.
I see you're joined by Dylan Salmon from Penrose as well. Dylan has been engaged with us both at CEDC and the Hudson County IDA on other projects. And perhaps you could give just a brief overview of your Kingston project.
Can't hear you, Dylan.
Can't hear you. Hold on, Dylan. You here. Well, why don't you do that, John? To
Yeah,
it's very
So it's not confirmed, the 9/11, that's the deadline for your application.
yes, for the 9% deadline. And we did, also important to know, we did just work with the city on a pro housing funds application with ESD as well, which, you know, we're really appreciative to the city for support on that. Submitted that last week, so hoping to be able to fund some of the infrastructure costs associated with this project with that funding as well.
and that's a very interesting grant. It allows the developer to request from the state money for infrastructure, which is a list of specific types of expenses. And they can fund, Chris, is it up to 50% of the infrastructure cost with a cap of 10 million? Exactly. So, it's hard for a project to hit $10 million of infrastructure, when you look at the definition of, what's included, but it does add to the stacking of the benefits and the costs that allow the developer to move forward.
The name of that grant again, Mark?
It's the pro housing.
Pro-housing supply.
Community infrastructure grant. Once we can send you information on that.
Vermont has something similar.
Yeah, it was the information I had sent you and that the city council authorized the mayor to submit the application on behalf of the city. Because the grant can't be submitted by the developer, it has to be submitted on behalf of the municipality.
Do you want me to talk about Golden Hill?
Yeah, just for a
Just for
second.
this group's benefit. So, probably the closest example of our work in the area is Golden Hill project, which is currently under code arbitration, so before the end of the year. It's 164 units in Kingston. It's an intergenerational housing project, so we are meeting a lot of different housing needs they have in Kingston there. We have 80 senior units. We have 48 units of supportive housing with Family Woodstock as the services provider for those units. We have a number of workforce units to meet the growing workforce housing need in the city of Kingston as well.
And it's the former site of the
Also
county
county
jail.
jail, yeah.
Could you also give a brief overview of where you are with the school district?
So the school district has been supportive so far. You know, they give us a letter of support for the housing application and, you know, we'll seek the same for the tax rate application. We do need to work with them to schedule a district vote approving the site control for the project before we can close. And we're in active communication about that and establishing a timeline to do so.
Great. I think when you look at your timeline, because of all of the pieces that are needed to put a project like this together. Remind me when you thought you would start construction and when you anticipated it would be completed.
So we anticipate we're gonna be able to start construction in November 2026. And I believe completion is March 28th.
Just so everyone has an idea of the length of a project of this magnitude, particularly when you're doing an adaptive reuse project. Which absent a project to adapt the reuse of that building, it could sit empty for years. And we all are aware that Hudson Development Corporation did look at it as a possible community center, but state funding wasn't available at the level that would be needed to complete that project. So, you know, we are, you know, at least I'm encouraged by the fact that you're interested in it and you think you can make it work, and we'll go through a long process. It has a lot of obstacles and a lot of hurdles, but you know, I do think it's an important project for the city, particularly based on the work that CEDC is doing on behalf of the board of supervisors as it relates to affordable housing in the county. Chris, how many units are available at the currently for people making median income countywide,
32.
there are 32 housing units on, if you went on the internet today to, try to rent, and those would be at what price?
That's about 1,600.
16,
Countywide?
countywide.
Jeez.
So, great, what,
So I think I may have asked this at the council meeting as well. You're on a very tight timeline for that application.
Yeah,
And if you miss that deadline, the next it would be next year, correct?
Correct.
September. So in the event that you are not able to meet that deadline, what does that mean for the project?
so we will meet it in terms of we'll be able to put together. an
Let's say
application.
worst case scenario.
So I have no hesitation about being able to meet it. We'll be able to put in an application, but HCR looks at readiness. So if we haven't made enough progress on this pilot or on seeker, those are things that will hurt us and make us not as competitive in that 9% round. So this is why, like, we want to be in front of these bodies right now, like doing our engagement, getting support letters, so we have that for our application. If we don't get awarded in this round, we'll be able to reapply in the next round.
So you will still stick with the project even if this first round does not go as well as expected or hoped?
Correct, that's our intention.
How far can you proceed without the vote from the school board?
Everything except for closing on property, which would happen at the same time as construction closing. So the earliest we're gonna be able to close is 9 months from tax credit application submission. That's when HCR will apply September 11th. We'll get word back in February, March 2026, and then we'll be able to close later Q3, Q4 2026. That would be if we get awarded in this round.
Because I think the school board norms vote is in May. So if it gets added in May as a referendum, so May 26th would be the earliest, I think, the school district can vote on.
Unless we do a special vote outside of the cycle,
Right, but that would be an expense, right,
correct?
for the school.
For the board. It'll be an expense, it has to, be decided exactly how it would be incurred, but yes.
well, thank you. What I would, propose the agency consider is to authorize CEDC to engage a consultant to do the economic analysis. And at the expense, which would be at the developer's expense, but we would select and work directly with the consultant. And then at the September meeting, work with our counsel, Chriselle, to have the board pass a resolution authorizing a public hearing. So that if that study is done in September, we can get the public hearing, we can present that study to the board. And we can then have a public hearing where the public can review that material and then have comments on it. And perhaps October or November, the board could take consideration as to whether they want to move forward with a pilot and on what terms.
How long will it take for us to get the analysis?
We should, I think I can get it by the next meeting, which is September 3rd, or whatever the first Wednesday of September is. And then we'd authorize, I'd request that you authorize a public hearing without date. And then, we could work with all of you to get a date that works for everyone and get sufficient time to notice it for the public to participate in the public hearing. And then, you would at least have information to decide whether there was going to be negotiations or based on what your own input is and that of the public as to how you would go about a pilot if you were to approve one.
Maybe the motion.
I think Heather has a question.
Yeah, I was curious, why are you not interested in the mortgage and sales tax exemptions?
We believe we'll be able to get them through the HDFC.
Okay, so you're gonna get.
So we're not
you don't need to
robust
get
versus
the idea.
yeah, yes.
So the reason I asked the question about timing, in the event that we can get that report earlier, could we not have a special meeting to review it?
And when's your deadline? September 11th?
9/11.
Yeah.
I hear you. We will, I was waiting to get the sense of the board as to how quickly they wanted to move, and if that, if the goal is to try to get, make a determination, based on, reliable data and information and discussion, so that it could be approved in time for their application, I can make that, I can work on that schedule.
There's a question from Dylan. Or comment.
Hi, Dylan, I think we can hear you now, can we? Hold on. See you muted.
He's not muted. Can
You're off.
anyone else on Zoom hear him? That would help me know if it's us or not.
I don't know.
Chris can't hear.
Chris, can you come off and see if we're hearing you?
The others
Hey,
on
can you hear
Zoom
me?
said-
Yeah. Dylan, do you just want to pop off and pop back on?
How about now?
Oh, good, great, all right, live, and then, where are you calling
Hi,
from?
everybody. Thanks for the time. My name's Dylan. I'm the president of acquisitions at Penrose, one of the partners here, and oversee all our New York development. I would say, I really appreciate the question about the timing around the 9%. And I also appreciate my colleague Jonah's fervent vigor to make this application bar none. The truth of the matter is that I've never submitted a 9% application without some manner of support in evidence of a pilot that's been presented in that application. And so to the extent that we arrive at a place where the economic analysis is incomplete at the time of the application, we would love to come back to the board, at the very least, ask for a resolution to produce a letter of support that describes the process that we've undertaken at that time, the general support of the program, be it that the board has it at the time, and where we stand in the process of that requested pilot. Without that in our application, I think we would stand a very short competitive stance to anyone else competing in the capital region pool, which is one of the more competitive regions of the 9% program. So I appreciate the question.
Part of it will be your ability to get us, construction budget and pro forma for the, consultant to analyze. But I assume that, you're at a point where you have, data that can be provided for that purpose.
I'm in Jonah's model right now, so yes, it's available.
Okay. You wouldn't be here if you hadn't gotten this far, so.
And I would say,
So,
look, it's a really amazing asset. We've done a ton of these school conversions. We've probably done almost $750 million of adaptive reuse during the company's history. It's one of our kind of cherished work verticals. It's a complicated building too, though. The nature that much of the building actually sits below grade requires a lot of operational logistics to move stuff up. All trash has to come upstairs versus going downstairs. That's an operational challenge. There is a lot of asbestos to be dealt with. And there's a lot of large window openings that need to be maintained in historical, significance and kind of, aptitude. So there's a large cost burden on the deal too. So we're doing our very best to put something very attractive in front of the state and do something cool with this project. So I appreciate it.
Chris, one of the questions I have is, looking at, calendar, September, 3rd is the scheduled meeting. If we passed a public hearing resolution at that point, we wouldn't be able to really have the public hearing and give the IDA time to consider the input from the public as well as their own input. And so I guess the question would be, could we hold a special meeting to authorize a public hearing in 2 weeks? Or you're on mute.
I think same question as I think Margaret just asked, how quickly can you get some economic analysis done so that we have something to work with at that point?
Well, my thought would be if we could present the public and we could, if August 15th, we had the special meeting for a public hearing. And we had the presentation of the economic report to the board on the 3rd, we could possibly have the public hearing on the 4th or the 5th or the 6th. So that at least the board could then have another special meeting to decide, if, otherwise I don't see how we could.
Well, but we need to provide, remember, this is a deviation. So we need to provide the taxing jurisdictions with the analysis of what the cost of the benefits would be, right? So that has to be included in the package. So we need
Right, but
some
that
of
would
that.
be available the schedule I'm thinking of, and that would be available by the third.
No,
But
but it
maybe-
would have to be available 2 weeks before so we could present it to the taxing jurisdictions. Right? They need to have the taxing jurisdiction letter, remember, that presents that information. So why don't you and I work on that offline?
Right, I'm hearing that
with
the
your
board wants
consultant.
to see if we can meet assist them with a November.
No,
or
I
December-
understand. So I'm suggesting that we talk with your consultant about fast tracking and analysis so that we can try to make that work. That, I
That's
think
critical.
that's the key. So does the board could consider a special meeting for sure in August. That would be helpful.
If that's fast tracked, and we can have a special meeting where we're reviewing the result of the analysis, and that gives us a little extra time in it, that, you know, once we know when we're gonna have the analysis, we could have our public hearing scheduled even before the.
That's what I'm thinking. And
Right?
we'll talk with Chris, and if we need a
Yeah.
special August meeting to have a public hearing authorized, whether we have a date or
Right.
not for it. I'm just thinking if we had that in our
Get it, yeah,
arrow quiver.
let's see.
We'll work those details out,
Let's see when we can
but
get the
I think I need to
Right.
have you authorize me to engage a consultant at
Yes.
the expense of the developer.
Yep.
And Chris and I will work with you to get a date to see how this will work.
Right.
That meets all the requirements of the statute and gives you enough time to make a reasonable decision without feeling rushed.
And the board, I'm sorry, could we also the board needs to also request escrow for council, Michael, so that we can proceed to prepare all of that in advance? Okay. Okay.
It's escrow, so we can,
Okay,
so
yes, thank
she
you.
can
Right.
work on it and they can work on it.
Escrow prior to the motion for the consultant.
Well, otherwise I can't quite do the consultants at your expense and not have the developer backstop it.
Right.
Yeah,
Together
So I
with,
make a mo-
together with.
and Chris can't work on it without,
Money.
Hmm?
Money.
yeah, some lawyers do, but.
I don't know anything to.
So I'll make that motion for the escrow.
Okay, and to authorize,
As we do it,
do them the same
as one
thing.
motion.
You want two motions, Chris?
No, just one. I just want to include it.
I make a motion for the establishment of escrow and then in the same motion, that the board hire a consultant to do the,
CEC hires it on behalf of the board.
right, to do. the
And escrow
financial
be
analysis.
established for the economic analysis and the legal work that's gotta be done.
Should we identify the amount?
Chris has to do the.
Well, she has to do the legal, but the consultant's gonna do the
Right.
economic analysis.
We need escrow for both.
Right, okay.
And presumably, we're gonna work with the same consultant that we work with. in the
Yes.
past, correct?
We're hoping to.
Yeah.
Do we need to establish the amount investment? It should.
No, we've never done that. It's always been a rolling.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know exactly we don't know what Chris's fee is gonna be, or we don't know what the contract's gonna be yet for this.
You need a second for the motion?
But
Yes.
I will make sure I have the escrow before we move
Yeah,
forward.
I was just more giving them a scope of how much it would cost. I mean, I think.
Well, we
the
told
study-
them it's gonna be, the consultant will be 15.
I was gonna say 15 to 20,
20.
and she's gonna be, at least in the starting things, probably close to 5, but that's not.
Right,
not close
Heather, we
to-
usually we usually start with 5 and then we replenish as we need it, right?
Right.
That's what we typically have done.
We
Right,
can work those details out with you after the meeting.
right.
Roughly 20.
Yeah.
In that range.
Cool. This is exciting.
So do we have a second?
Second.
So the motion is contingent upon the establishment of an escrow that we will conduct the analysis.
Correct.
We do a roll call vote.
Ready? Heather Campbell,
Aye.
Jamal Johnson,
Aye.
Cheryl Casaloka absent, Randall Martin.
Aye.
Dominic Moranti.
Aye.
Charles Millar,
Aye.
Margaret Morris,
Hi,
passed.
Great.
We gotta look at that, so.
You provide
All electric.
electric,
Yeah,
ready to do solar or no?
we're looking at it. If we can get SHPO National Parks to approve it. They're a little
Right.
finicky about that. They don't want to see it from the grounds.
Okay, anything else for?
Could I just
Penrose?
make one point for Penrose that they need to make sure that when the city is undertaking their secret process, that they have included the IDA as an involved agency and issued that notice to the IDA. That's really important, okay?
Noted, thank you.
Excuse me, Chris, do you know if the IDA responded to the posting about the city taking lead agency?
I don't have any documentation. I don't know if it went to Michael or to whom it would have been
I
addressed.
haven't seen it. But
Okay.
let's get that in process today and finalize so we can get it back to you.
Okay, we'll follow up too.
Well, thank you very much, and we'll move to our next agenda item, Mr. Chairman. That is, thank you. Chris, could you give an update on our discussion with the council for the Crescent project and also the additional financing that was approved and closed by the Pocketbook Factory, and then we'll ask the Pocketbook Factory to review their implementation plan for the startup of the project.
Sure thing. So on Crescent, we provided our lease documents for them to review. We've actually prepared most of the closing certificate process. We are awaiting some additional information from them, including their current financing package, because that's necessary for, as you know, the labor law to confirm that exemption process. We're sort of waiting on them at this point. We understand that they want to proceed with the lease closing, separately from any financing closing. So as is the case in some of these projects, the lease IDA process, precedes having a lender closing if they're going to do that, or if they're going to use only equity financing. So we're just waiting for some additional information, but that one seems to be proceeding. The PBF Hudson, the board approved an additional $800,000 mortgage without approving additional financing assistance. So that closing did occur at the end of July. So that's all taken care of from the IDS perspective.
Any questions for Chris? If not, I see Sean Rowland is here from the Pocketbook Factory. If Jonah and Dylan need to get back to work, we won't be offended if you jump off. I appreciate you hanging on, but I know you have work to do and some assignments that we just gave you, so thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, everybody. Sean, great project. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
We included in your packet a blurb from an article from Hotel Management about the Pocketbook Factory project. And it's great to see it getting press. We will send you the link to their website, and we can pull that up when Sean finishes. One of the things that was included in the IDA documents with respect to this project was not only information related to the annual status report, but in the regulatory agreement, that there's a list of requirements for employment, for hiring, and for job training, for internships and other activities. And the Pocketbook Hudson submitted to us earlier last month a memo outlining their initial steps. But you want to just quickly run through that, Sean? See if there are any questions.
Absolutely. So our memo, which I believe you probably all have in front of you, do you want me to share it on the screen as well, or is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
for our air visitors.
Okay. So this basically summarizes, the terms of our agreement and outlines the steps that we are currently undertaking to make sure that we meet those. So we restated our hiring goal, which is to hire 34 out of the 65 full-term equivalent positions from City of Hudson residents. Our current hiring is at the management level, and I'm pleased to report that we have kept basically this balance within our management team. So 3 out of the 6 management positions that we have hired so far are indeed City of Hudson residents. And in the next month, we will begin the hourly hiring process, which I go into all the steps kind of below for how we are doing outreach both within the city of Hudson and then within Columbia County in the region. So we are within this target now of the 3 months before our official opening. We did send the letter, this memo to the IDA at that 3-month mark. And our certificate of occupancy right now is projected for mid-September. However, as with all construction projects, that comes with an asterisk. We still have quite a bit of work to do on the exterior of the building for egress and sidewalks, stuff like that. So, that's still our goal. We may slip a little bit, but I hope not. But hiring is well underway. One of the management positions we just hired was her name is Shaylin Decker, and she will become the liaison for the IDA reporting on an ongoing basis. She's our director of people and culture, so basically the HR department for the operating company. So for future IDA meetings and reporting, I will obviously still be involved, but she will be delegating the liaison position to her. We have made contact with the Columbia Green Community College regarding the internship program. Shaylin has been leading that conversation, and I believe they have a meeting on the books for next week to, really kind of scope out what that ongoing internship partnership would look like, as that is one of the requirements that we basically have a paid internship at all times who is sourced from Columbia Green Community College in their hospitality program. Job postings we have posted on online job boards, on Indeed and on LinkedIn. We are also hosting 2 job fairs in Hudson. The first one is actually this weekend, and that's going to occur on Saturday for 4 hours at the Spark of Hudson. They're hosting us. We have created flyers which are being distributed throughout this week to local businesses, bulletin boards, community centers. We sent the flyer to the local one-stop labor employment office. We've shared this with Columbia Green. We've shared it with Questar. So we're really disseminating the information as widely as possible. That's what this paragraph goes into a little bit. And of course, we're in touch with CDC and the IDA regarding these opportunities as well. Training programs are in development currently. I think I actually included a draft of it below that we can zoom down to. But basically, we will comply with the IDA's, requirements for a comprehensive 2-week training program. Depending on the different positions in the hotel, this will include, sort of uh, basic essential skills to succeed in a hospitality role, details on our operating protocols, also known as SOPs, and then sort of in-practice mock work sessions where folks who have not worked in hospitality before can kind of get up to speed on guest relations and interactions. Of course, we will also make sure that all of our employees go through any required safety trainings. For example, food and beverage employees need to do serve safe training. Any employees that serve alcohol who go through like a protocols for how to, basically serve alcohol safely and legally. For our management team, this is sort of a rolling 6-week training program, recognizing that different positions in management come on at different times, but basically a month ahead of the onboarding of any management employee, we create a detailed schedule that outlines modules of their training. This goes deeper into sort of our brand and philosophy on hospitality, and then obviously really delves into any necessary skills that they need to further develop for their position, which are highly dependent on their department, whether that's, housekeeping or brand. So those documents are being developed in a kind of a rolling on basis based on when we're finding the right candidates and hiring them. And of course, we're happy to share any of that information with the IDA if they want further information. And then I just included here, yeah, the organizations that we've already done outreach to, which were specifically listed in our IDA agreement. And obviously, we're happy to meet with any other organizations that members of the IDA board feel would be relevant or important. And, we're really excited about opening and excited about hiring locally and really doing our best to fulfill both the requirements because we want to hold up our end of the bargain and just because it makes great business sense and we know it will, benefit Hudson to have residents that live here and are part of the community working with us. So that is my update. Any questions?
Riley's going to post your website just for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions for Sean? Let us know when it's safe to have a tour and we'll all be interested in getting an opportunity to see the progress.
Absolutely. Yeah. Would be happy to have you guys over for a hard hat tour, perhaps early September. That's when we'll really be kind of wrapping up and doing punch lists for the certificate of occupancy.
Here's the homepage of the hotel. I don't know if any of the menu items are active, Riley.
Yeah, you can actually go through and look at rooms if you click
Go to the menu.
yeah, if you go to book on the top right, that'll take you to our booking engine and you can see all the different, you could choose dates. You have to choose a date after October because we're not open till October. But if you kind of, yeah, if you,
Actually, going on.
Yeah. Cool.
There you
Well,
go.
we'll send that out to all of you if we haven't already, and you can take a surf yourself. But I was impressed with the graphics, and it looks great.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, we're super
Any
excited to come to life in Hudson and obviously welcome any actions or input from any board members.
Cheers. Go ahead, Margaret.
Yeah, so I went on your site and I looked at it and I looked at the whole booking thing. Are you receiving any bookings yet?
Yeah, we are. For October, we do have reservations on the books. We also have a lot of inquiries for corporate events and obviously private events. Private events are more, celebratory weddings, stuff like that, more for the 2026 season. But we are starting to get midweek inquiries and bookings, which is great you know, for economic activity in Hudson, frankly. So yeah, things are once there's more press out, this is a new process to me too, but basically for hotels, you need really good photography in order to secure, high quality press. So as soon as you have, in about a month, we'll have all our photography, and then we'll start getting features and, more regional and national press. There has been some good local press already. Rural Intelligence also ran a really good article that I could share with the board. But that drives a lot of business, essentially, is what our revenue and PR people are telling us.
Any other questions? Thank you. We'll let you get back to work too. You're welcome to stay, but
No, thank you. Appreciate you all and your service.
You don't wanna be rude, but you do have work to do.
I do. Take care. Thank you.
Final thing on, the, agenda is, a discussion of, what we know about the lease up of 76 North 7th. There's a memo here from, Dan Hunt, or Dan Kent. Indicating that, they're, adhering to the tenant selection plan, which is in the packet I just gave you, along with their marketing plan, investing significant time and resources into, the execution of that marketing plan. And they're committed to honoring all the income preferences, obviously, that are in the regulatory agreement and, outlined in the original tenant selection plan. Chris Shale and I have reviewed the various legal documents related, to the project. Dan confirms, that, his staff has, he believes his staff has responded to all inquiries and applications. Last week, they provided tours of the building to 10 applicants. Soon they'll be holding open houses. And they did, we did include the flyer that they've asked, that they indicated in this memo, that, they've been using for the open house. The other item that I included is I did go online, and I did pull up, Zillow, where you have to go to file an application. The available units, as of last night. And I,
These two tables seem to be identical, are they?
no, they're not, what I did is I sorted one by, rent and one by bedroom.
Oh, I see, okay, thank you.
Just so you could, you know,
Got it, thanks.
because it was kind of, you know,
Okay, got it.
and so, you know, as you can see, you know, this does tie back to,
Right.
the HUD numbers, Chris. And, well, the numbers that you have to, the rent limits on 80 and 130% of median income.
Yeah, those are tied more directly, to the LIHTC regulations, so that's where those bedroom sizes and household sizes. And the rents at those AMI percentages are all derived from LIHTC regulations. Which is as per the original regulatory agreement.
And,
How is unit 315, a 3-bedroom unit, 588 square feet?
it could be what we just took, what was on the website, so it could be an error, I'll check that one.
Bug fix it, but
Yeah, we cut and pasted it right from the website, so I'll be double checking. So-
Did they, I'm sorry, I think that I heard that they were actually charging an application fee just to
Right, well,
apply for the
So what,
apartments?
we talked about this because, I asked them for a copy of their application and they said, well, you can only apply online. And I said, well, what if someone doesn't have access to a computer or they're not sophisticated, or familiar with, all of that? And they said, well, then you could come to their office. So what I did is I went online and filled out an application. And I put in, median income as if I was at 80% of median income, so I didn't get kicked out. And then I did have some fun where they said, why are you interested in living here? And I said, I wanted to live closer to work. But then you get all the way out to the bottom and it says, put $35 on your credit card. And I think that's chilling people. I mean,
Absolutely.
you know, it's kind of like, and I'm involved I'm on the board of a bank and we found that, when you put in information where people can find out about mortgage rates and that type of thing, but the last thing you ask them for is their name, email address, and phone number, they bail out.
Absolutely.
Because they don't wanna be embarrassed, they wanna manage in their own mind whether this is the right place for them. So, I
But isn't an application fee industry standard? I mean, I don't know that there are any that don't.
think you might call it an application fee, not a credit fee. And in my view, it's really their business as to how they do that, ensuring that they comply with what they have agreed to. But I looked at that Zillow application as almost a pre-application. And then someone should call you and talk to you about how this all works, and if you want to apply, you submit the credit approval, or you submit the approval to give them authority to get your credit. But if you're that's the only way you can get engaged with them and you're not really sure, you don't want, because when, you know, when you get a credit check, it can ding your credit.
So one of the things I noticed there in conflicting information in two, one was Zillow, one was their website, I can't remember which one had this. But there was a statement that the income thresholds were negotiable. But that doesn't appear in any of this.
Well, and also I still think they have the mistake on the website where it says 3.5 times the rent,
Yes,
Chris. And then,
Yeah, it was the mistake, I'm not sure.
no, it's still there last night on
Yeah.
Zillow.
And so the other thing I had asked for was a report that shows the number of people who requested information and the dates, like a report showing with redacted names, but the date request was made for information and the date of response was given. And
I sent that to them and this was his response.
but this doesn't address it.
I know. but-
So, I put in a request for information over 3 months ago, and I did another one about a month ago. And by curious coincidence, the day after I sent you my request for a report, I got a response to my request for information. Which, I'm
At
proud.
least you know I did my part.
Sorry? No, but I mean, like, this isn't okay. I want to know how many people asked for information and how many, when they asked and when they got the information. Because saying that we don't really have applicants, you're now gonna have to go up to the higher income threshold if we don't have sufficient applicants at the lower income. I want evidence that you actually provided information to people who asked for it. And I don't have that here.
Well, I will indicate that that was requested again at today's meeting and,
Right.
ask them.
I bulleted out.
Well, I sent that, I mean,
Yes,
I sent the
yes,
same bullets.
yes.
And indicated that you were the one that had requested the information.
Yes. And I did in fact get the flyer in response to my request for information 3 months later.
So,
One day after I asked for it.
Chris, what's your take on all of this?
We can't hear you.
Are you saying Chris
Hey.
me?
Yeah.
What,
Hey,
what's-
we reviewed the document and, we have a good handle on what is required and we need to monitor it and ensure that they do it.
right, I mean, it's their responsibility to conduct their rent up. And they have provided the rent limits and the income limits that they are proposing to use, which seem to align with the HUD and LAHDC requirements, right? So, Margaret's questions are sort of they're not expressly provided for in the agreement. They're sort of a determination as to whether or not they are in fact in good faith attempting to, seek out, tenants who meet the preferences.
I mean, that's not a hard thing to ask for, evidence that you're actually doing what you, on paper, looks very nice, but now show me the evidence.
Right.
And I think we are entitled to ask for it.
The interesting thing is they said that these are the ones that are available as of last night, which means, they are only, and they told me they had not signed any leases as of last week, but they are holding some. And apparently these are 56 units, so they're only, they only have 9 people who are interested enough that they've taken the units off the list. So they really are, if they've been marketing for 3 or 4 weeks or more, they've got to find a way to get more people to come through the turnstile. Because otherwise, you're right, they'll be in a situation where people who make more than 130% of income will end up there at the rate that should be available to the person that makes less than that.
That's at 80%.
And so, and Chris, Chris Brown, did you have any observations from what you looked at for me on the limitations for rent and income?
Yeah, I think that the limitations all match up with what they had outlined in the regulatory agreement, which was to match up with the LIHTC regulations. Sorry, stand up. So they've got the 4 units of each bedroom count for 1, 2, and 3. The 4 units that are set aside for 80% of AMI all meet those, they're all below that threshold that LIHTC sets minus utilities. And then on the marketing front, I think the thing that they've updated the most based on our feedback, there was some question in the regulatory agreement. They had committed to conducting a affirmative fair market housing plan. And they're marketing their outreach up to date to the last City of Hudson IDA meeting didn't quite hit the threshold that you'd expect from an affirmative fair market housing plan. So the housing plan that's dated July 2nd is their response to that. So that rises to the level that an HCR and FHA expect from those plans. But their price points all line up with Berkeley at both price points to be.
And just to review that, the was 80%, one bedroom was 54.9, is that right, Chris? Minimum income requirement, but Chris and I looked at the fact that there's two things here, one was the rent. And how did that relate to the income? Because there is not specifically an income restriction here as much as there is a rent restriction.
Well, the income, remember that there is a rent restriction in the regulatory agreement, then there is a preference that is the income-based preference. And so they're both based on the low-income housing tax credit levels. So the rents are based on the number of bedrooms, and the incomes are based on, are adjusted for family size based on AMI. Right. So, and Chris Brown, I think, also looked at this, but Mike, you and I looked at those numbers from HUD, and the numbers align, the numbers that they're using. So I think what the IDA is looking for is to make sure that they are aggressively marketing and looking for qualifying tenants, right?
The preference,
Right.
looking for tenants that meet the preference.
Correct.
The other issue that has come up is, and is this also a low-income housing credit standard that you would use 35 to 40 times the rent to evaluate someone's credit?
That is not part of that. There's no part of that because in the low-income housing tax credit world, there's no preference. This is something the IDA created. In low-income housing tax credit world, it's an absolute requirement that you have qualifying tenants. So there is a difference. Okay. And in the case of the credit qualification, let's say HCR for an HCR finance project has a multitude of requirements for going through that process. They actually require that you have applications run through an HCR managed process, not through something like Zillow. And they do allow certain kinds of credit qualifications for income for non-seniors. I believe it was 40 times rather than 35 times. So that's within that metric. But there are a number of other metrics that aren't part of this process, right? So for example, there are all kinds of rules about what kind of credit analysis, you can do, in terms of taking into account people's, outstanding debt and so forth, as opposed to income limits, right? There's all kinds of issues that.
So what they've taken here apparently is one of those tests, and that's do you have income equal to or greater than 35 times, not the 40, the lower number, 35 times the rent.
Right,
So
but I don't know, I don't know that we can tell what other credit qualification limitations they are taking into account, right? Because they're asking for a credit check.
If you look at that one, and you're looking at a $2,350 a month unit times 35. Those people have to have income of $82,000. But that's
Right.
not one of the units that's at the 12 units that are in the 80% or lower.
Right, that should be at the 130. So,
Right.
but my point is that the plan refers to an acceptable background check and credit score. There are more requirements that HCR imposes on their finance projects, just for information about what is and isn't acceptable. I believe they require an individualized credit evaluation and that sort of thing, to make sure that they're not, rejecting people that could be otherwise qualified.
And so if you were you were under the 130% test, and you made 87.5, you could rent that unit because of the 130% income is 117,000 for a family of two. So, you know, I just think that, you know, we continue to have to see. You know, I think they need to get 150 to 200 applicants to figure out, or interested people to figure out how to book 65 units. And you're not gonna do it 3 people at a time.
Not gonna do it by ignoring requests for information for 3 months.
Might go back to that application fee of $35. So is that non-refundable?
I didn't go that far because I wasn't gonna have them dig my credit for, if I'm gonna do that, I'll buy a car, you know, but,
So is that also an application fee and to?
it wasn't presented as an application fee, it was presented as a fee to check your credit. So,
But I thought there was a cap on credit amounts with rentals. Wasn't it like $25? $25? I thought that the new law was $25. Thought there was a cap on how much we could charge.
we can look into that, but, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it had been raised. I mean, I just think that if I'm generally interested and I have to fill out an application,
Right,
but I'm not convinced I wanna live there, I just wanna get on your list.
to get in the door and look, to look at it.
And have you negotiate with me and show me around and convince me that I should live there.
Then you might do your application.
Then I fill out an application and I give you the $35, whether it's an application fee or a credit check.
Right.
But, you know, because I don't know enough, there's not enough information available online without going over there. But the only way you can fill out an application is online. I wouldn't know enough after that brief introduction to their website, that I would go ahead and give them my, fill out my social security number, all the things you need to get a credit check.
Now, do they say that online, if anywhere where you could come in person, they would accommodate someone if they
Yeah,
can't?
because Zillow doesn't, it's not like this Pocketbook Factory website where it's custom made.
Right,
Zillow doesn't have a place for that. And
so how come we know they could come in person?
yeah, I don't think they know, it doesn't say that anywhere.
Right.
There's nowhere you can customize that.
So Margaret, you didn't have to put in money, you just did a request for information.
Well, I looked at the application,
If you pull up the law.
and then I also went in on their website, not to,
Depot lots.
on their website, they have the request.
Oh,
for
to their
information.
website.
It's not an application.
There's a place on their website where you say.
All you get is basically the flyer, this thing. Well, I think I have pictures of, it was just very basic.
There you go.
This one?
Yeah.
I have 2 questions. I just took a look at it because I thought the credit check fee was actually higher, so it says it's normally between $30 and $75.
Where online?
Yeah.
Oh, in the industry.
In the industry, right? But is it,
I have never paid for a credit check, never. And I've also never paid for a background
It
check.
says apply here.
Well, I pay for background
that.
checks for
Sorry?
jobs that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
your center staff pays background checks.
I've had lots of background checks.
Here's
I
where,
guess it depends on the
Oh,
institution.
here's where it takes you to Zillow. So if you just scroll down. You can request a tour, or you can apply, hit apply, and these are, if you look below where she is now, O'Reilly is now, you'll see, that's where I took all this data from.
Here.
But hit, apply now, please. Now, this is where, first thing you have to do is give them your email and set up a password, or you can't get into your account, so that's the first time that you say, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went into the application process.
And it's
I was not.
It's a 4-page application and, to me, it's not the detailed level of information that I would ask if I was going to actually rent here. I mean, it's kind of like a form of inquiry as, it did say what is, there was a place to upload your W-2, your financial bank statements, whatever. And again, it's so impersonal, you don't know where that stuff's going.
Yeah.
This day and age, people are hesitant to
So Mike, I think maybe this is, the IDA has asked for some information from the company to assure that they're in compliance with the regulatory agreement. We have some information to that effect. The discussion of the effectiveness of their marketing, certainly some questions can be presented, but at some point, this is the applicant's, or this is the company's responsibility to rent up their facility. And, with the, follow-up that Mike, that you've been asked to, I think, request, additional information about their reach out efforts, right? And their responsiveness to their reach out efforts.
Can we ask, I mean, without trying to micromanage the process, can we ask for some level of oversight since the lease-up period is so important? Especially building the character who's gonna be able to be in the building moving forward. What, is there any level of sort of oversight that we can look at, to actually real time, not waiting to see after?
Well, that's not part of our agreement with them. So you can ask them to, continue to submit requests for information and ask them to be responsive to your, requests to understand how they're making sure that they're going to meet the preference requirements. But, the document is what it is at this point. So I think we need to expect the company to carry out their, rent up in accordance with those requirements. I mean, I think we cannot micromanage their rent up process, right? We can just look for
Chris-
regulatory
Chris-
compliance.
Chris, I think it's not, the issue for me is not micromanaging their process. I don't care how they do their process or whether they're effective or not. The issue for me is that I want actual evidence that they are abiding by the terms of the agreement and that they are in fact giving preferential treatment and responding to people, and particularly in the lower income sector. And I don't think it's inappropriate to ask for evidence. That's not micromanaging.
As a city agency, I mean, don't we have a responsibility to citizens to make sure that, the city's working for them, getting these low-income housing available, that, can we put it on the city website? We've got Register Star, we've got gossips here. I mean, if the word gets out, I don't think people know, and I'm out of the community a lot. I don't think people have any idea.
I think that's correct.
We're gonna put it in our newsletter. Along with, the fact that the ShopRite is for sale, report and,
I'm not sure the Venn diagram of this.
My point is, I have to show that we're not just marketing Galvin, Oh, okay.
But I think that similar to what Margaret's saying is that make sure unintentional barriers aren't there that are preventing people to, going forward, whether it's for marketing or whether it's not going back on, getting information or that $35 fee. What are the barriers that are?
Let's see if we can reschedule that meeting.
In what sense reschedule? It was never
Well,
scheduled.
Well, we were gonna schedule a meeting and then he wasn't available and then you wanted,
Correct,
you
yes.
wanted the
Yes,
information
I
thrown
gave
back.
you dates.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Do they have anything going on over there?
Why don't we show up? There we go. Hey, public can come with us and we'll. I'll be there.
Enroll as art students.
Oh, good, and then we can vote too.
So I think we have, at least I wanted to get you additional information and, show you what we've been able to find out online and, we can continue to follow up with them and report back. Chris Brand, you have, 2 minutes on the BART, situation that we reported both to our CDC board and county IDA board.
Yeah, I can share what we know. So I think everyone's aware that there's a pending, sorry. So there's a pending donation from Galvin writ large to BART. Galvin is multiple companies, 5 or 6 different holding companies under the Galvin umbrella. That total inventory comprises about 90 properties, 87 properties or so. We know that, well, we've heard that there are 3 that are not a part of the proposal. The hotel is being developed on 4th Street, the old tennis courts, which will not be the community theater, and then Boswick. Most of the properties, obviously, in the city of Hudson, there are a couple out in the county. There's the Civic Motel in Greenport, and then there's High Point Gardens, in Chatham, Senior Housing Center. So the rest of the portfolio seems like it's up for grabs. Right now, BART is in between a 90-day and 60-month, or 60-month, a 90-day and 6-month due diligence period. They're figuring out what the valuation is of these properties, which ones they want to take on, which ones they don't. They have said multiple times that they do not want to use any of these properties for student housing or for faculty housing. They just recently acquired a property that they're going to be using for both of those things and a campus expansion. So they're open to working with nonprofits, the city, for-profit developers, or just property owners, whatever the case may be. Their CFO has said a few times, if you want some of these properties, give us a call, make us a pitch. But we won't know which one they're interested in for quite a few months. That's kind of all that's really known. Anything beyond that is just a little.
There was a
guesswork.
quote that, if you're interested in a property, you should call the CFO, you should call it.
Chris, is Dawnwood and Richardson all part of that list?
I believe so. Yeah, we don't know. I should say, we don't know exactly what's on that list, just the three that I mentioned are the three that we know are.
We took the county tax roll, city tax roll, and we pulled all the properties, and I confirmed, in writing with Dan Kent that it included the for-profit entities and the not-for-profit entities. Because at one point, people said it was only the not-for-profit entities. But he said they're all, on the list that was given to Bart.
Including 7th Street.
Yes,
And a hotel in Helsinki.
no.
No, that's
excluded.
That's off.
That and the theater and the, crosswinds.
Wait, is Helsinki considered part of the hotel?
It is.
I did not know that.
They bought it, and it,
Oh, I knew they owned it. I just
Yeah,
didn't
it's
know
part
that
of-
that was considered one complex now. That was all.
their campus, and they're gonna use it for their restaurant and their banquet.
It's a beautiful building.
Finally, Mr. Chairman, I did have a inquiry from Caseta, the company that owns the Elks Club building. And they anticipate, coming to the IDA in September, with an IDA application for the redevelopment of that property.
25? This year,
Yeah, this,
it's been a while.
well, they had a big, long planning board, zoning board this year, so.
Like it's on.
Zoning, much better zoning.
Yeah.
It was to put the addition on the back, and that was only resolved a month or two ago. So, and it's a 40-room hotel, and, again, we've talked about our buckets of hotels at different price points. We can update that, data, and also, the economic analysis takes into account not only, the benefits and, the developer gets and the cost of those to the municipalities, but it factors in the 4% bed tax that, hotel room, sales generates for the city.
5%, no.
5% now? Oh, great. They'll make it even look better.
So the one across the street from there, that's just dead?
Home page.
No, he's still working on trying to find equity. Every once in a while, I get a call from an equity, type who's asking, what I know about the property, and I call him and say, is it okay if I talk to them? And say yes. But they would have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
Because they had a 3-year IDA approval and it expired. So. Any questions? Mud and River City.
Well, now I'll open it up for public comment.
Yeah, I have a question. Sarah Sterling here. Seems when you're talking about the building over here, and okay, there's 12 possible apartments according to Chris Brown, with a screaming need for this kind of housing. And then nobody's applying. And what if the building then says, well, we can't get 12 people? Now, I've heard different things, like either another person that applies, if I come in and apply, I would get that rent. Even though I don't meet the standards. Or somebody else, or do they get to then rent them at market rate?
Oh, no.
So I think we need clarification on that.
The rents
The rents are the rents.
are the rents.
It's just that someone who has greater income could benefit from a low fall rent because someone else who needed that rent Wasn't
reached.
reached.
I mean, I will say at least, you know, the community outreach section that they presented does look better than anything we've seen to date, so there's
What are
that.
they actually doing?
Well, that's the
That's the
question.
question.
Right.
So it's not micromanaging to ask for evidence and to conduct an audit.
What was Reagan said,
Trust me.
Trust but verify.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Got a Reagan quote on the.
Yeah. They'll be sitting out there.
I mean, we
Toyota's
could, in
looking
theory,
back.
we could ask them to provide evidence that they've reached out to these community things, and or we could reach out to the community thing.
And I sense that we're here to help too. I mean, if we, you know, if you want to, we'll put the flyers out. We'll be happy to take your flyers.
I mean, there's many wait, you know, there's tons of waiting lists around. Are they sending it to, you know, people on waiting lists of other places?
Yeah, what the complex is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we hear the words and the music. Yes.
I mean, so I'll be using those rating, some rating words myself, because we can do our rating. But this was all discussed last month. You know, Margaret's issue of them not responding and alternatives to marketing and assisting in marketing. So I'd like to see some sort of response and maybe some, I don't know what pressure the IDA can put upon the ranking up process. But I would like to see them held to their agreement.
Well, we'll continue. I think some of the pressure resulted in a more detailed plan and a new flyer and actually scheduled events. But
And a response to me.
in response. I said, answer the lady.
Sorry,
Would you say that the form was on the list
for
donations?
I can't get, I don't understand.
What's your question?
Oh, I'll ask you after. Okay.
That concludes my report, Chairman.
All right, anything else for public comment? Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that's good. You say that.
Thank